This video we will be discussing about the angiosperms and their characters. In the previous video lectures we have discussed about the structure, the life cycle of a pteridophyte, gymnosperms, bryophytes, isn't it? So in this section we will describe about how the angiosperms are more developed as compared to the pteridophytes, bryophytes as well as the gymnosperms. Okay, so let us start the video now. As far as angiosperms are concerned, these are the most dominating one, and these are considered to be the highest evolved plants on land. Okay, as compared to gymnosperms, as compared to pteridophytes, as compared to bryophytes, the angiosperms are the highest evolved plants on land. Okay. Now, angiosperms are included under phanerogams like the gymnosperms. Got it? So, these are the seed bearing plants, and obviously they do have flowers, but the gymnosperms do not have flowers, they are only seed bearing plants, but the angiosperms are both flower bearing as well as seed bearing plants. You know very well that angiosperms include monocots and dicots. Monocots are the angiosperms where there is presence of a single cotyledon, and dicots are the angiosperms where there are presence of two cotyledons. Got it? So, as far as general characters of angiosperms are concerned, here like the gymnosperms, the main plant body is a sporophyte. Okay, and this sporophytic plant body is differentiated into roots, stems and leaves. Got it? Now, sporophyte it can be monoecious as well as dioecious, just like gymnosperms. Here also the sporophyte may be monoecious or dioecious. You know what is monoecious? In case of angiosperm, the monoecious plant is either having a bisexual flower or is having unisexual flower, that is the separate male flower and separate female flower, but both are borne by the same plant. Okay, the monoecious species are either having bisexual flowers on the same plant or having male flower and female flowers but borne on the same plant. Got it? But what about the dioecious species? Dioecious species are having separate male plant and separate female plant. The male plant must be bearing the male flower and the female plant must be bearing the female flower. Okay. So, you would be able to know what is the male flower and what is the female flower once we discuss about the flower structure in case of angiosperms. So, the sporophyte bears, you know that main plant body is a sporophyte. Now, sporophyte bears flowers which is meant for sexual reproduction. So, your flower is the reproducing organ in case of angiosperm. Now, flowers bear calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. That means it bears 4 holes, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Okay. The individual units of calyx are called sepals, individual units of corolla are called petals. Okay. Then individual units of androecium are called stamens. So, stamen is the male sex organ in case of a angiosperm, and individual units of gynoecium, which is otherwise known as pistil, are called carpels. Okay. So, carpel is the female sex organ in case of your angiospermic plant. Okay. These stamens you can compare it with microsporophyll. Okay. The stamen consists of anther and filament. In the next slide I will be showing the diagram of the stamen. The stamen consists of anther and filament, and the anther is called microsporangium, which produces microspores or pollen grains. We have discussed about microsporangium from pteridophytic stage, isn't it? We have discussed in pteridophyte and gymnosperms what is a microsporangium. So, here the anther is called the microsporangium and it produces microspores or pollen grains. Now, as far as the structure of flower is concerned, you can easily see that there is presence of sepal, which is the individual unit of your calyx. Then there is presence of your petals, which is the individual unit of your this is the sepal. okay, individual units of the calyx. Then the petals are the your corolla, individual units of corolla. Then there is presence of the stamens. What are stamens? These are stamens. This is stamen, this is stamen, this is stamen, this one is stamen, okay, this one is stamen. So stamens are the individual units of your androecium, and the stamens consists of, as you can see here, the stamens consists of anther and filament, okay. Stamens consists of anther and filament. Then let us come to the gynoecium or pistil. The individual units of gynoecium or pistil is called carpel. Now carpel consists of three important structures. What are those? Stigma, style and ovary. Inside the ovary there is presence of ovule, as you can see quite clearly in this picture. So on the right hand side there is the diagram of a carpel. The carpel consists of a tip, that is stigma, then an elongated portion, we call it a style, then the bulbous, the lower bulbous portion is called ovary. Inside the ovary you will find ovules, okay. Now let us come to the microsporangium. Inside the microsporangium or anther, your pollen grains or male gametes are formed, okay. Microspores or pollen grains are formed. These pollen grains constitute the first cell of male gametophyte. Got it? Pollen grain or microspores are the first cell of male gametophyte. Got it? Now carpel, which is otherwise known as megasporophyll, it consists of style, stigma and ovary, and the ovary encloses ovule, that I have already discussed. Now this ovule, which we previously called in the gymnosperm as well as your in the gymnosperms megasporangium, isn't it? So the ovule, that is otherwise known as megasporangium, encloses a nucellus, okay, parenchymatous tissue which is called nucellus, and inside the nucellus there is presence of megaspore mother cell. Now this megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. Okay, the megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores, out of which 3 degenerate, that is towards the micropylar end. The megaspores are present one above the other. The 3 megaspores out of the 4 which are present towards the micropylar end, that is the upper end, they degenerate, and the one that remains towards the chalazal end, it remains functional. Okay, now it is called as the functional megaspore. Got it? So out of the 4, 3 have degenerated and 1 is remaining, that is the functional megaspore. Now the functional megaspore forms your embryo sac or female gametophyte. And remember it, all these structures are formed where? All these structures are formed inside your megasporangium. Inside the megasporangium, the embryo sac is formed. Got it? So the functional megaspore, it forms an embryo sac or female gametophyte. The pollen grain, you know that pollen grain that was formed in the anther or microsporangium, and it is the first cell, pollen grain or microspore, that is the first cell of the male gametophyte. It bears 2 male gametes. In addition, that another structure is found, but that is not important for you right now. It will be taught in your next year, that is in the sexual reproduction of angiosperm plant in the +2 second year or 12th standard. So just remember that the pollen grain has 2 male gametes. Got it? The pollen grains are brought to stigma and they germinate to form pollen tube. So the pollen grains which bear 2 male gametes, they are brought to stigma. Okay, stigma, you remember the tip of the carpel. Got it? So the pollen grain reaches the stigma by the process of pollination, that is very well known to you. So through pollination, the pollen grain reaches the stigma. There the pollen grain germinates to form a pollen tube. Got it? The pollen grain germinates to form a pollen tube. Now the pollen tube that grows into the embryo sac, where the embryo sac is present, the embryo sac is present inside the megasporangium or ovule. So the pollen tube that grows through the style, you just remember that the carpel has got 3 parts, that is stigma, style and ovary. Inside the ovary, ovule is present, ovule is megasporangium. So the pollen grain that reaches your pollen grain germinates to form a pollen tube, and that pollen tube passes through the style and reaches the reaches the embryo sac. And you know that pollen grain is having two male gametes, and thus it releases those two male gametes into the embryo sac. Got it? So after this is the it is a rough diagram. So once the pollen grain falls on the stigma, this is the stigma, this one is style, this one is the ovary. Inside the ovary there is presence of ovule. Okay, now the pollen grain grows, germinate to form a pollen tube. So pollen tube grows into the style and reaches the embryo sac. Okay, and into the embryo sac it releases the two male gametes. Now one of the male gamete fuses with the egg. Got it? One of the male gamete, it fuses with the egg. You know, egg is present inside the what? Ovary. So inside the embryo sac, the male gamete, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg to form a zygote. Got it? And that process is called syngamy. The exact process will be taught in the next year, that is in the 12th standard. So one of the male gamete fuses with the egg to form a zygote. Got it? By the process called as syngamy or true fertilization. I have explained about it in details in the sexual reproduction in case of angiosperms. Okay, you can search it from my video, from the playlist. Okay, now one of the male gamete has fused to the egg to form a zygote. There is another male gamete which has been released by the pollen tube into the embryo sac. What will happen to that male gamete? Now the second male gamete, okay, fuses with the polar nuclei. There is presence of polar nuclei, which we otherwise known as secondary nucleus. That is, polar nuclei fuses with the second male gamete to form a triploid primary endosperm nucleus. Okay, so that means in a gist we can say that out of the two male gametes, one male gamete fuses with the egg and the other male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei to form a primary endosperm nucleus. Got it? And this process of fusion of the second male gamete with your polar nuclei is called triple fusion. Got it? So the syngamy or true fertilization and the triple fusion, they are together known as double fertilization, and this double fertilization is a unique feature in case of angiosperm. Nowhere it is found. So double fertilization is a unique feature found in case of your angiosperm. Now already a zygote has been formed by the fusion of the first male gamete with the egg. Now that zygote gives rise to the embryo. Got it? And the primary endosperm nucleus, which has been formed because of this triple fusion, it forms the endosperm. Got it? Now this endosperm provides nourishment to the embryo. Endosperm provides nourishment to the embryo. Got it? Now inside the ovary, the ovule, that is the megasporangium later, develops into the seeds, and the ovary itself develops into a fruit. Got it? The ovule develops into a seeds and the ovary itself develops into a fruit. Okay. Now the seed contains one or two cotyledons. On the basis of that you call it as monocot or dicot. Got it? So another important point that you have to remember, that the life cycle in case of your angiosperm is diplontic. What is diplontic? That is, it is with diploid sporophytic generation, which is alternating with highly reduced haploid gametophytic generation. Okay, so like the gymnosperms, it is also diplontic, and here the sporophytic generation is highly evolved and it is diploid in nature, whereas the gametophytic generation is haploid and it is highly reduced. This is what the life cycle or general features in case of angiosperms. Got it? So we can see, we can quite easily discuss about the life cycle of angiosperms on a diagrammatic basis. So let us see it. So as you can see here, the plant body is sporophyte and it is diploid in nature. Okay, diploid in nature. 2n. So angiosperm plant bears flowers, isn't it? It bears flowers. Now flower has the stamens, that is the male sex organ, and the carpel, that is the female sex organ. Got it? Now the carpel is having ovule, okay, and the stamen is having pollen sac, your anther microsporangium inside it. pollen sac. Now the ovule bears megaspore mother cell and the pollen sac bears microspore mother cell. Megaspore mother cell undergoes division, that is general meiosis, to form megaspores, that we have discussed, and the microspore mother cell similarly undergoes divisions to form microspores. Okay. Now the megaspores and microspores, these have been formed. So megaspores develop to form your embryo sac, whereas the microspore bears two male gametes, one male gamete, then second male gamete. Got it? So ultimately what we had found, so megaspore has given rise to embryo sac, and the microspores have given rise to two male gametes. Now the embryo sac is having egg, isn't it? One of the male gamete fuses with the egg. Okay, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg, which we otherwise known as syngamy or true fertilization, to form zygote. This is the zygote. Now the zygote develops into the embryo. Got it? At the same time, the second male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei. Where these two polar nuclei are found? They are also inside the embryo sac. Two polar nuclei to form a triploid endosperm. Okay, and the endosperm is nutritive in function. So now embryo has been formed. There is also presence of endosperm. Now the embryo then gives rise to your plant. How? Your embryo is present inside the ovary. So ovary turns into fruit, and the ovule gives rise to seed. Now the seed, when it germinates, it gives rise to the angiosperm plant or angiospermic plant, which is a sporophytic plant. Inside the seed you have got embryo. Okay, so ultimately what we got? Again we got the same angiospermic plant, which is diploid in nature. So in all of these cases, the major phase is diploid, that is your sporophytic phase, and the haploid phase is very much reduced. Got it? So in this way you do find that the angiospermic plant is showing diplontic life cycle with prominent diploid sporophytic phase and a very much reduced haploid gametophytic phase. I hope this particular class would be beneficial for you in understanding the angiosperm general features of angiosperms. Okay, thank you very much.